I don't think it's going to be players. And my contention has never been that the players, other than quarterback, that the Broncos have are bad. Actually, offensive line and, well, tight end, too. I don't have a tight end. Running back's not great either. But generally speaking, I think the talent on the roster is good. The talent on the roster is good enough to be at least 500. My problem here is Vance Joseph's brain. I do not think that Vance Joseph is qualified to be a head coach in the NFL. I think that last year was pretty much all Exhibit A, everything. I'm not telling you something you don't know. I think I saw somewhere earlier today, Vance Joseph has been called at. Oh, we got to get to this. I saw on social media earlier today that Woody Page was on Altitude, and he's telling Scott Hastings, woo pig suey, he was telling Scott Hastings that he thinks that Vance Joseph's going to get fired after the 49ers game. And, I mean, stealing my takes? I mean, Woody Page? Come on, Woody. You're just trying to steal my takes? And don't give me this, I don't know who you are crap. You were following me on Twitter for quite some time, Woody. Broncos fans are smarter than people give them credit for. I think they're smarter than the average NFL fan, and they kind of they're quiet about it a little bit, but they all kind of know whether or not the team's going to be any good, and they can tell. I think people last year, it was a little bit of a surprise to them. It wasn't a surprise to me. I've nailed this team since I got it. I knew exactly how bad they were going to be, and they were, and the reasons why were exactly the reasons why, and now all of a sudden everybody's like speaking my language, criticizing John Elway and saying, hey, I think you're screwing up the team, John. I think you maybe need to do something a little different there. Because they want people to be excited. They're really pushing product right now. Like a used car salesman. They have shined up their Vance Joseph, and they are pushing that out onto the showroom floor. Like, come on, guys, let's move some units. Let's see what we can do today. Let's hit a quota. They are really pushing product right now. The Broncos know what's coming. I think this is an indication. It's a big, bright sign that says we're not going to be good this year. And I know that there's hope. We've talked about this before. There's teams you trust in. There's teams you hope in. And the Broncos are a team that we're hoping are going to be good. But we have no trust or belief in them to do that. So that's fine. I'm just saying that 1650 just screams, please, let's not have empty seats. If an NFL team is selling their product for less than $75 a ticket, I kind of question what's going on. What, people not going to games? What's your strategy here? You're trying to find your price point. Because there are a lot of, it doesn't matter what the price is in New England. They're going to drive out into the wilderness. Have you ever been to Gillette Stadium? It is in the middle of nowhere. And they're just like, I don't know, like drones, like bees heading out towards, it's mindless. They all go out there and they just pay hundreds of dollars to watch Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and then beat off for 3.5 hours. That's not what the situation is in Denver right now. That you guys are not zombies to the Broncos right now. And I applaud 1650. I think that's good for fans. I really like that people are looking at that and saying, okay, hey, maybe it's attainable. I can go to a Broncos game this year. That's good. And I think it's good that the organization really pays attention to the fans that way. I just think that that also means that they can't sell them for more because they absolutely would if they could. So this is the last week that we really have without any football. Next weekend, we got football, right? We got the Hall of Fame game coming up. T.O. isn't going to be mentioned at all. We'll see how that goes. But I really want people to focus in here on what I'm trying to tell you about Denver. The Broncos are going to have good players.
Hey guys, Benjamin Albright, NFL Underground. I want to talk to you today about the Phantom Football Forum. Vegas lines, fantasy football, power rankings. Watch football games live with me. Phantom Football Forum. Only $1 for your first month if you sign up today. Facebook.com/WatchPhantom. The link right here. Come join us today.
Hey everybody, welcome to Noon O'Clock. I'm TJ Carpenter here live on Phantom, and hopefully a lot of you guys are going to be making us your headquarters for your daily sports content while you're chowing down on some lunch. At least that's my hope. I would like to chow down on some lunch eventually. I'm starving. You know where I'd like to go? I'd like to go to Henry's Tavern. I was actually there yesterday. Henry's 16th Street Tavern. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with them this football season, so I'm really excited to tell you guys about that. But go there. Go there for lunch. It's a fantastic place. If you've never been there before, 16th Street Mall in Welton, right downtown. Go down there, check it out. Ask them about their drink specials. Tell them that I sent you there. Tom Gibson will take care of you. I was having some Dale's Pale Ale there yesterday. It was awesome. But I am starving. But I hope you guys get a chance to eat today. We're going to be talking all about the Broncos because the Rockies suck. They lost. They lost to the Padres. Me Padre, su Padre. Actually, I think the Padres are the Rockies' Padre, if we're being totally honest here. But we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later on in the show. If you guys really want me to force feed you some baseball, we can do that. But first and foremost, as always, we're going to get to your comments here in just a second. Want to tell you about our sponsors. First and foremost, Brent Malia Properties with Coldwell Banker. Brent is one of my good friends. He helped my wife and I, when we first moved to Denver, find a new house. And for those who have been living in Denver for any amount of time, you know the housing market is tough and treacherous, and you need somebody on your side. Brent helped us in tremendous ways. But we were looking at houses we didn't even know exist, neighborhoods that we weren't even aware of, in tremendous places all across the city. Brent has access to all of them. He has the insights. He follows the market. You ask him at any point in time anything about the housing market. He's got data, charts. Pull them up on your phone. He was showing us charts the other day. He has his finger on the pulse of Denver real estate. So if you're looking for a house in Denver, go to tjsagent.com. Brent will hook you up there. And also, too, if you're looking for help with your mortgage, buying, selling, refinancing, Platte River Mortgage is your destination. Go to platterivermortgage.com. Check out Sean Sedita. Sean helped us with our mortgage get the best possible rate we did, thanks to Sean and his team there at Platte River. So go check them out if you need help with your mortgage. Also, too, use the promo code PHANTOM. That's F-A-N-T-O-M. Anytime you want to buy tickets, do so on SeatGeek. Use that promo code FANTOM, and you can get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Free money. You're going to the game anyways. Go ahead and get some on us, just for our listeners. So use the promo code FANTOM, and then, of course, use that at betdsi.com. You're looking at it on the screen. betdsi.com. Go there and use the same promo code FANTOM, and you can get up to $2,500 matched on your first purchase when you go to betdsi.com. That's up to $5,000 you could use to play around all NFL season. $2,500 extra dollars to play around with. I mean, you're going to win money if you pay attention to what we tell you to do on BetDSI, but you have to go there and actually sign up. So do so this week. Promo code FANTOM at both of those websites. All right, guys, let's get to some comments here. Eric's in the house. What's up, Eric? Eric's my boy, man, down in Dallas. Eric has been watching the show from down in Dallas. I know he's a Cowboys fan. He probably hates my takes on the Cowboys. We will discuss your comments here in just a moment. What's up, Eric? What's up, John? John Misak, Denver Broncos fan out in Jersey. What's up, John? Jenna Garcia in the house. What's up, Jenna? Jenna here in Denver. And so obviously Jenna's really excited about the football season. She doesn't care at all about the Rockies. Nobody does. Nobody in this town does. Let's see. G's in the house is also. G Garcia is a big time Cowboys fan as well. I'm sure you were enjoying Ari's show, which comes on right before this one from live down in Dallas. Eric says, with Dak's legs and Zeke and Austin getting work out of the backfield, our team is going to be nasty. We will grind defenses down till they can't take it anymore. Loving our situation this year, plus Zeke gets stronger and faster as the game grinds on. Buckle up. Yeah, look, no. Your offensive line is a big part of the reason why your team is good, and your offensive line is a mess and aged. Let's say. So I'm guessing that Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott are going to realize just how the other side lives when they find out that, oh, Tyron Smith has been the whole reason why we've been able to operate since coming into the NFL. So let's see how that goes without that offensive line. John says, I'm off from work, and I just sent you a pic of the Pro Bowlers from each team from 2011 to 2016. I'll have to take a look at that, John. I haven't had time. Pretty busy morning for me, but I will take a look at that. Go check out John's stuff as well. Why don't you just tell me who the Pro Bowlers are from 2011 to 2016? Are we talking about Pro Bowlers that John Elway drafted? Because I think that's Menelik Watson. Not Menelik Watson. Malik Jackson. I think it's Malik Jackson. I think it's just Malik Jackson. That's the only... Because John Elway didn't draft Von Miller. He drafted, I think, Malik Jackson, who made the Pro Bowl for the Jags, not for the Broncos. Let's see here. Eric says, did you see the challenge between Dak and Mike White today, seeing who can hit the crossbar first from 50? Dak came close first try, but Mike White nailed it on his first attempt. Good for Mike White. What's up, Wade? Wade Zetterberg in the house. Patrick also. Patrick out there from Oscar Blues. We're going to be doing a ton of stuff at OB as well. Oscar Blues down on Market Street. A little bit of construction down there right now. You can still get in the back door, but it is going to be fantastic. They're going to be showcasing their patio this fall. It is in a perfect location downtown on Market Street, so check that out. Patrick says we should talk baseball. Do you really want to talk baseball? Do you really want to talk about how Mr. Anderson, Tyler Anderson, needs to go to AAA Albuquerque for a couple of weeks? Do you want to talk about that? Do you want to talk about the fact that, Albuquerque is a magical land of wonderment and joy where all pitchers can go to rehabilitate themselves? Because right now, Tyler Anderson ain't doing great. Couldn't even get past the stellar lineup of Eric Hosmer and some other people. And Eric Hosmer is hitting like 260 right now, or 240. He's terrible. He's been terrible as a Padre. And he's their best hitter. So him or Will Myers, and both of those guys kind of suck right now. So, you can't beat that lineup. And here's the thing I've been telling everybody since the beginning of the season about the Rockies. You can't rely on hitting because it's hitting. And I don't think people really understand what that means. Charlie Blackmon, DJ LeMahieu, and Nolan Arenado all performed last night. Well, they did what they were supposed to do. Blackmon and LeMahieu got 2 hits apiece, and Arenado got a hit and a walk. And you still lost because everybody behind them, Trevor Story to David Dahl, sucked raw eggs against the Padres. And so you lose 4-3 when your offense produced. I mean, you can't rely on the rest of that lineup because it's offense. That's the way offense works in baseball. And yet people are just like, why can't we beat the Padres? So frustrating when you can't beat the Padres. Well, it's because your pitching's not good enough. And I've been trying to tell people this. You got to go. They should have acquired a pitcher at the deadline. You realize how much the Nationals are regretting not doing a fire sale at the deadline? The Rockies should be regretting not acquiring a starting pitcher at the deadline. God, it's just they don't understand what the price of competing in this league are. They don't understand that you have to go out there and you have to actually acquire talent somehow. And in order to acquire talent, you either have to give up money that's going to hurt you or prospects that are going to hurt you. And you're going to have to just live with that pain. You're just going to have to just live with how that hurts occasionally. Lawrence says hello. What's up, Lawrence? Patrick says, and I'm sorry, as much as Dez was a pain for the Cowboys, he still drew 2 to 3 defenders. They don't have that right now. Dak is going to struggle finding open receivers. I agree. Dak Prescott is going to struggle finding open receivers, which is why I have the Cowboys being a below 500 team this year. John also says, I have some concern if Kelly can put some touch on his throws and can learn him. And when you go up against third team, if you're better than the rest of the people on the field, it should look that way. And it did with Chad Kelly. So good for him. And then against the second team for Chicago, he still looked pretty good. But he wasn't really challenged a whole lot, I don't feel like. But he looked pretty good. So he's done what's necessary to win a backup quarterback job in Denver. He's won the backup quarterback job. Low bar, I know. Don't look totally and completely incompetent on the field. and also be better than Paxton Lynch. So 2 birds with 1 stone there for Chad Kelly. I think, and look, today in practice, or yesterday in practice, they were giving Chad Kelly some reps with the one, some scout teamwork and some things like that. And I was thinking to myself, okay, well, clearly if they're doing that, Chad Kelly is their backup. They know it. The league knows it. Paxton Lynch knows it. Well, maybe Paxton Lynch doesn't know it because I'm not entirely sure what Paxton Lynch knows. I kind of assumed that he knew he was shitty, and we found out that he doesn't know that. So, well, look, we'll see. We'll see what he knows. But I know that Chad Kelly is the backup quarterback, and you should too. They're not going to go up and get a veteran backup because, to be honest with you, they just cut Menelik Watson, which cost them like $7 million in dead money. And they're probably going to have to cut Paxton Lynch too, which is another $4.5 million in dead money. So they may be carrying up to, and I think this is a real number, I think they may be carrying up to $13 million in dead cap this year, which, if you're going to pick a year to carry some dead money, it should be this year. So, cut Menelik Watson, cut Paxton Lynch. This season's a wash anyways, so just move on and see if you can, set yourself up for success in the future, which is, where Chad Kelly kind of comes into play, right? The future, because nobody expects him to be the starter this year. I mean, not at least until Case Keenum either gets injured or it has set in that he's not the answer to their problems. And if that happens, then yeah, sure, we may see Chad Kelly. I would rather see Chad Kelly, who I'm not entirely sure can start. I'm pretty sure can't, but I think he might be able to. He looks okay out there. Let's see what else he can do. I'd rather say let's see what Chad Kelly can do. I'd rather do that than just marry myself to Case Keenum, who I know can be good in the right circumstances. But I don't think he's going to be right I don't think he's going to have the right circumstances, unfortunately. Now, we'll see. They'll give it absolutely. You start the season with Case Keenum. He's your best quarterback. He's your best, he's a quarterback, and you know that he can do quarterback things as a starter in this league. So, Case Keenum's your starter at the beginning of the season. Makes total sense. As you go on throughout the season, you're going to see whether or not he can actually solve Denver's unique problems, because the problems in Minnesota were different than the problems in Los Angeles, and the problems in both of those places are going to be different than the problems here. So can he figure out this puzzle? And if he can, more power to you. He's your quarterback for at least the next 2 years, and you may win some games because he's figured out how to win some games and work with his teammates. Everything I've seen from Case Keenum so far tells me that he's going to be very Case Keenum-y this year. So yeah, sure, he's your guy. But if you're 1-5 and you're going into that Rams game and you're like, well, shit, probably leave Keenum in there for the Rams game because we don't want to kill Chad Kelly right off the bat. So let's let Keenum take the axe and go ahead and just let him get just destroyed by Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald while he's attempting to throw a pass that's far too short and will inevitably get intercepted by Marcus Peters and or Aqib Talib and run back for a touchdown. And so when all of that inevitably happens, then they've got a bye week. And then coming out of the bye week, Chad Kelly for starter. That's where we're going. That's where all this is headed. And you know it. I know it. I think Vance Joseph knows it. Elway probably doesn't. But, I don't think that really surprises anybody. We'll get to Elway here in a second. I have some thoughts. Because we had some people on the Denver Broncos page say, why on earth could you possibly boo John Elway? Why would you ever boo John Elway, ever? And so those are the people I want to talk to today. I want to talk to everybody, really, about a key question, which is, can you be a Broncos fan and also boo John Elway? Is that possible? Because somebody made this comment yesterday. I think it was in the Denver Broncos page. And if you're watching us from the Denver Broncos page, thank you so much. We should give a lot of shout out Orange Weekly and the Denver Broncos group, all those people there. The guys who get involved with all that. We couldn't be happier with some of the partnerships we've never able to develop here with Phantom and you guys. So thank you guys very much. And then also too, and if you're watching through the group. That was where the comment was. So we see those comments. We just don't see them in real time. So if you want to see your comment mentioned on the show, just comment on the Phantom Facebook page, and we'll get to those comments during the show. John says, I have some concern if Kelly can put up some touch on the throws and can learn how to move inside the pocket, not out. We talked about that just a moment ago. Julius Thomas is a Pro Bowler in Denver. Julius Thomas was a Pro Bowler in Denver. But I don't think Julius Thomas was drafted by John Elway. He was drafted by Brian Sanders. Patrick says, they technically can still acquire a pitcher because baseball is weird with trades. That's true. They've got to do some special, I can't remember exactly what the rules are. They can still get a pitcher, but, they could have gotten a pitcher a lot sooner, and he could have had time to adjust because they're going to have that couple of starts there at the beginning where he may not be perfect, and then people are going to be like, well, you got to give him time, and then they should have done it at the deadline. John says, so Denver only has Julius Thomas and Von Miller for team selection as Pro Bowler for Denver, regardless if Elway picked him or not. It's only based on a timeline. Elway was there to 2016. Right, sure. And, there haven't been a whole lot of Pro Bowlers for Denver that were drafted by the team in quite some time. John says, do you think Joseph knows that Kelly will be the starter by the bye week? He's got to know. Joseph's got to know that Chad Kelly has a legitimate chance to start an NFL game this year. He may be the first Mr. Irrelevant to ever start an NFL game. And that's kind of where the Broncos are at. They are stuck between determining whether or not they want to start a $17 million backup quarterback, bust Paxton Lynch, or Mr. Irrelevant Chad Kelly. Those are their three options at quarterback. I don't know if there's a single quarterback situation in the league that is as bad as the Broncos quarterback situation. Not a single one. Because, look, all we've been able to talk about, it's such a distraction in the city. And I'm not talking about a distraction for players or anything like that. I'm talking about a distraction for you, the fan, from things that you would normally prefer to care about, which is whether or not the Broncos are going to be any good. But you can't because Paxton Lynch is still on the roster, and you don't know why it's taken them so long to figure this out. And Chad Kelly's your only option if Case Keenum goes down, and you don't know whether or not they need a backup quarterback, and you have no idea what this offense is going to look like, and you don't know whether or not Royce Freeman's for real or not. There's all kinds of questions that are distracting people from, are the Broncos, the wide receivers good? What's going on with Bradley Chubb? He looks like he might be pretty good. Cortland Sutton. There are all kinds of good storylines around the Broncos that you can't really pay any attention to because they won't let you. John Elway in particular won't let you pay attention to other more important things, or should be more important things, because this takes precedent. Because this just dark, ominous cloud of disaster is just looming over all of Denver. I think you can see it right there. That cloud, that right there, that has turned into a very dark, ominous cloud that is now going to just envelop the entire downtown and the stadium until Paxton Lynch leaves. We started doing this on the morning show. Mornings at 5280, 1340 AM, 104.7 FM, and milehighsports.com. We've started playing this game every day this week. Every single day. We have found someone whose birthday it is, who we would take as the starting or as the backup quarterback on the Denver Broncos over Paxton Lynch. Day number one, it was Todd Helton. 45-year-old Todd Helton. I would gladly, easily take 45-year-old Todd Helton over Paxton Lynch. Number two, Tuesday. Usain Bolt. It was Usain Bolt's birthday yesterday, and I would absolutely, I'll just run the V here. I don't care. Take Usain Bolt over Paxton. Played quarterback in college, and yes, in fact, from the University of Kentucky and Green Bay Packer wide receiver Randall Cobb, I would take him over Paxton Lynch in a heartbeat on this team as a quarterback. Because Randall Cobb knows how to play in the NFL better than Paxton Lynch does. The game's too fast for him. And he's not willing to work hard enough to make that no longer a problem. So that's your situation there with Paxton. Ian says, even if EJ thinks he wants Kelly to start after the bye, I don't think he has that authority, honestly. That's a really good point, Ian, because I don't think he does either. And that's where we come back to this same topic that we've had basically for the last 2 years, which is John Elway helping or harming the team? I'm not talking about whether or not he's earned something or whether or not he's a Hall of Famer or whether or not he's one of the best quarterbacks ever or whether or not he got them a Super Bowl because he got Peyton Manning to Denver. I'm talking about today, in context, in 2018, August 22nd, is John Elway helping or hurting the Denver Broncos with his decision-making? Is he helping them or hurting them? Because I can't tell you the last time he made a decision I was like, yeah, man, that's what I came to expect from John Elway in his playing and GMing career. When's the last time he made a decision like that? Drafting Bradley Chubb? Drafting Bradley Chubb was stupid obvious. Everybody knew Bradley Chubb was the best prospect in the draft. The question was whether or not do you value the best prospect or do you value the best quarterback? And the Broncos were picking 5th, so that decision was basically made for them. And Bradley Chubb somehow fell to them at 5. No shit you're going to take Bradley Chubb. Does he deserve credit for that? For the no shit Sherlock of the last decade in the draft? Of course you take Bradley Chubb. In fact, you could argue that Von Miller, does he get credit for Von Miller? How can you argue that you deserve credit for picking Von Miller or Bradley Chubb? Clearly, both of those players were really, really good in college. It was dumb obvious that they were the best prospects available. So when was the last time he made a decision that you're like, yeah, I think that you could argue that it was either the Emmanuel Sanders or DeMarcus Ware or consecutively both of those acquisitions because they had acquired Aqib Talib, which was a great pickup. They had acquired Emmanuel Sanders and DeMarcus Ware, which were both great pickups. And then essentially their Super Bowl championship team was set. They had their defense, they had Peyton Manning, they had everything else they needed, and now they were ready to go win a championship, and they did. And congratulations to Super Bowl 50 champion Denver Broncos. But since then, it's been like, well, we won that because it was the Broncos. The Broncos won that, not you. Actually, John Elway actually deserves more credit than Aqib Talib and TJ Ward and CJ Anderson. And Peyton Manning, too, by the way. Deserves more credit than Peyton Manning because I keep hearing everybody trying to diminish how important Peyton Manning was to the Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 50. And I'm sick and tired of it. Peyton Manning was one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Without any arm strength, he was still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He couldn't even throw, and he was still one of the best. You can't argue. Don't give me this, well, statistically, they were the... No, shut up. It was Peyton Manning. I don't care. I don't care about how statistically or whatever. He's Peyton Manning. You don't get to say, well, statistics didn't matter when Elway played, but they do now, especially when I'm trying to argue that Elway was more in charge of the team than Peyton Manning was, and I need him to be the reason because he's still there, and if he's still there and Peyton Manning isn't, I have to believe that it was Elway's responsibility. That's where you are, and I what do you do with that? Because I'm a big believer that they had one of the best defenses I've ever seen in Super Bowl 50. And they had a Hall of Fame quarterback. And you're telling me that now they don't need any of that. They just need John Elway. They don't need Aqib Talib. They don't need TJ Ward. They don't need CJ Anderson. They don't need any of those players. They don't even need the ability to bring in or garner favor with free agents because all free agents should just want to play in Denver for John Elway. And if they don't, they're dead to him, right? That's the thing. Is that how we're viewing this stuff now? I don't view it that way, but then again, I'm a sports nihilist, and everybody hates the fact that I try to be objective, and I'm not really in a. I'll tell you who I'm loyal to. I am loyal to me and to Phantom, and those are the two things that I am loyal to in this world. And if I may have some bias from time to time when it comes to my own personal opinion, or when it comes to my company or my family or anything like that. But when it comes to teams, I love watching football because I love football. I don't love watching football because I'm a Broncos fan, even though I kind of was a Broncos fan when I was a kid. You know, because you get, you're as a kid living in Arkansas, I basically got to pick. Everybody in my town, everybody in my class, they were all Cowboys fans. Jerry Jones is from Arkansas. Cowboys are very close. So everybody was a Cowboys fan. I watched the game, and the team that I loved the most was the Broncos. The Broncos was the team that I gravitated to first. My dad was a running back, and my dad loved running backs who didn't dance behind the line. And so Terrell Davis was his guy. And he's like, yeah, that guy is a good running back. And so I watched Terrell Davis, and I'm like, that guy is a good running back. And so I was a big TD fan. And then, you know, you watch the Super Bowl, and you learn more as a kid about who John Elway was and all these Super Bowls that he's lost. And then going into that Super Bowl with Green Bay, I was like, yeah, I'm a Broncos fan. I'm gonna root for the Broncos. And then they won, helicopter play, best thing I've ever seen. It was amazing. Next year they destroyed the Falcons. Like, yeah, I bought into it just like everybody else who was that age, you know? That's who you grow up believing in. So my whole life, I've always believed that the Broncos, that I could trust the Broncos, that the Broncos were going to deliver. Because they usually do. And they had basically my entire life. And so now I'm looking at it, and I've been in my career, and I've talked about sports from college sports to pro sports, and I was in Kansas City for a long time. And in Kansas City, I told people, like, look, you know, prove it to people, and they'll pay attention. If you force people to pay attention to you, then they have no choice. They have to. You're that good. And so, you know, I've always been kind of a show me person. And, you know, with Elway, it was like he showed me for 2 decades. All right, so I've seen it. I trust it. When I was coming to Denver, this is about a year and a half ago, I was moving from Kansas City to Denver, and my original thought was, this is going to be so great. I get to cover an amazing, legendary franchise. I get to cover one of my favorite, a couple of my favorite players in Steve Atwater and Terrell Davis. One was a former Arkansas Razorback, and then, you know, as I mentioned, I was a big TD fan growing up. And I get to cover John Elway, and I'm thinking, like, yeah, let's go out and cover Elway. This is awesome. And then I get here, and I'm like, oh, wait a second. Okay, so maybe this ego thing's a little bit of an issue. Oh, wait, but maybe it's a major issue. Wait, why did they not sign Colin Kaepernick? He's available. He would make the team better. They need a quarterback. Oh, wait, training camp's starting. They don't have any quarterbacks? And they're not acknowledging that they don't have any quarterbacks? And neither is the media, because they're terrified of Elway. And Elway seems to like having the media terrified of him. Oh, well, what are we going to do here? What am I supposed to do with that? Everybody wants to hear nice things about the Broncos, and I'm sitting here watching a coach who doesn't know what he's doing, a team that has no quarterback, and a GM who is going totally unchecked by anybody in the Broncos organization or by the media. And so I made a choice. Last year I said this team's going to be terrible. They're going to go 5-11. And a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. And one of them might be Vance Joseph, maybe even Elway. And this was my naivete, right? I come to Denver and I think, okay, well, one bad season, if it's bad enough, and people can see the writing on the wall of, oh, hey, you know, Elway's not really doing what Elway should be doing with the team, that, you know, the general consensus and intelligence of Denver Broncos fans is, all right, well, maybe we need to move off of John Elway. Maybe we need to go in another direction, and, you know, we'll let him ride off into the pasture, ride off into the sunset, and he can just be awesome John Elway. Let's have him be basically the mascot for the Broncos. Have him be the stadium sponsor. John Elway Field at Mile High Stadium. Let's name the stadium after. Like, let's do that. I just came to town, and I'm like, okay, well, I got to be honest. If I'm going to be true, I don't want people to think I'm bullshitting them when I tell them that the team is good. So if I'm honest with them and sincere with the Broncos fans in this town about what's happening, eventually they'll come around, right? Eventually they'll be on my side. And I don't know if that's happened yet. I don't know if people are there yet. I don't think they are, based off of some of the comments I saw yesterday in the Denver Broncos group. because I said, hey, shouldn't you be booing John Elway and not Paxton Lynch? Because, Elway is really the reason why Paxton Lynch is hurting the Broncos. And people are like, no, you can never boo John Elway. You cannot boo John Elway and be a Broncos fan. That's kind of the sentiment of the comments that we got on that video yesterday. And like, I just want to know where your loyalties are. Are your loyalties with the individual John Elway? Or are they with objective reasoning? Are they with what's best for the Broncos? Where are those loyalties? Because if you John Elway's going to come and go. Eventually he's not going to be a part of the Broncos organization anymore, but you're still going to be a fan. He may either retire or get fired. I don't think he's going to get fired, but if he may step down, or he may just not want to do it anymore at some point. He may end up being really successful moving forward and then retire on his own terms again. Sure, that could happen. Usually GMs don't get an opportunity to do that, especially not in the NFL, but unless they own the team, in which case, like, John Elway basically at this point owns the team. And I'm not saying that ownership stake percentages, he doesn't have any ownership stake in the team. But in terms of how the team operates, who's running the show? You think it's Joe Ellis? I don't even think Joe Ellis thinks it's Joe Ellis. I think Joe Ellis thinks it's John Elway. So that's kind of where I see all of this stuff. And, I like John Elway the man. I like John Elway the player. And I kind of like John Elway's, hey, screw you. You do it my way or you leave. I like having a red ass in that position. But I also like having somebody who knows Kenny Rogers, knows when to hold him and knows when to fold him. And so, that's the thing. John Elway's the guy who, when he can't hold him, he pulls out a gun and then shoots everybody else at the table. But the problem is that he doesn't have enough bullets right now. So that's where we're at with John Elway. Who's going to stop him? Nobody. Nobody's going to check. The only way I could see it happening is if fans turn on the team. That's the only thing I could see. And look, Broncos fans sold out general admission tickets for the regular season in 12 minutes after this team went 5-11. Clearly, I will never doubt or question Broncos fans' commitment or passion, even if they boo John Elway. I'm not going to question your passion. So I think that's a legitimate question. If you boo John Elway, aren't you saying that you care more about the Broncos than you care about John Elway? Aren't you saying that you care about what's best for the franchise and not what's best for him? Because I don't really care if John Elway saves any face. I don't. I like John Elway, the guy. I think he can be kind of a dick to deal with, but the world needs those guys. The world needs people like that. And John Elway has been that guy his whole career. John Elway would absolutely hate John Elway, the player. Do you think John Elway could ever play for John Elway? No freaking way. No way. Do you think John Elway coming out of Stanford and he's being given ultimatums by John Elway, the GM of the Broncos? Do you think that John Elway would even play football? No. He'd go be a Yankee. Just like he was going to be when the Colts said he was, we're drafting you. You're coming to play in Baltimore. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm not playing in Baltimore. I'm not playing for the Colts. You can just shove it. I'll go play baseball. And then he showed up and he did he was very petulant as a player. This is the guy. This is the guy who is now doing the exact same thing to players that he, as a player, would have really, really hated and never would have played for, because John Elway's number one allegiance is to John Elway. And I'm totally fine with that because I'm kind of the same way. I'm number one. I'm about me first, in terms of where those loyalties lie. So I understand the mentality. I'm just saying that as a group, you as Broncos fans, are you with the Broncos or are you with John Elway? Because right now, those two things are a little bit divergent. They're a little bit separate. I don't know if what John Elway is doing is in the best interest of the Broncos. I kind of feel like it isn't a lot of times. And I'm not trying to just drag John Elway through the mud, But he's done a lot of stuff to screw up the team over the last 3 years. Like a lot. He pissed off Peyton Manning before Peyton Manning left town. Peyton Manning didn't have a choice, and the second that Elway knew Peyton Manning didn't have a choice, he held him over a barrel, he made him take a pay cut, and Peyton Manning did not care for that at all. Do you think Peyton Manning liked John Elway at the end? No. In fact, I don't know how many people do. I think it's a little conspicuous sometimes when you hear former players who played with John Elway talk about John Elway in public, and there's a tenor to their comments that's conspicuous, I would say. Let's get back to some of these comments, guys. I'm sorry I've been ranting all show, so I haven't had a chance to read a whole lot of these comments. Ian says, I fear VJ is to Elway as Jason Garrett is to Jerry Jones. Yeah, I think that's a very good analogy. John says, Ian, I said the exact comment months ago. See where that's happening. Yeah, right. I think that people on the outside, inside, everybody can see it. Jay Peters, thank you very much, Jay, for watching the show. Elway harms this team heavily, and I have the list on why. Yeah, go check out John's list. Eric says, should have taken Sam Darnold. There's some argument for that, sure, but there's also a little bit of an argument that John Elway is bad at picking quarterbacks, so a lot of people in this town would have had issue if they had taken a quarterback. A lot of people want them to go the free agent route because that's what's worked for the Broncos in the past. They got Peyton Manning through free agency. They got John Elway through a trade. So I think that, the only quarterback the Broncos have ever drafted to win a playoff game for them is Tim Tebow. They have not had a lot of success in the draft. In fact, in the draft specifically, they're basically the Chiefs. I mean, they don't do well in the draft when it comes to quarterbacks. Eric asks, are they looking at Bridgewater at all? Good question. I think they might be. I think Bridgewater is a fine player. I am deathly concerned, and this is not Bridgewater's fault at all. I feel terrible saying this because I want to see Bridgewater succeed, but if I'm looking at it as a team and I'm looking at the cost, the risk versus reward liability of will Teddy Bridgewater be healthy, I think Teddy Bridgewater could come in and play behind Case Keenum and ultimately end up being the best quarterback on the team, hypothetically. But once he gets to that point, how long is he going to stay there? That's a good question because that knee, man, medicine and surgery have done some amazing things. And you've seen it. You've seen some really, really amazing things in surgery. We've seen Adrian Peterson come back from an ACL tear in 4 months. We've seen Teddy Bridgewater play again. The fact that he's even on the field is amazing. But I don't know if I take on that liability. I don't know if I would be able to commit the dollars, salary cap space, and reps to somebody who I wasn't entirely sure once put out on the field would stay there for very long. And I hate saying that too because I think Teddy Bridgewater is tremendous. Zach says, makes sense, or moo him. You could always moo John Elway. That's my compromise. You can boo John Elway, or you could moo John Elway and say, well, look, I'm not booing John Elway, but I will moo him. I will moo John Elway. Yeah, but I'm not booing him. So there's a little compromise there. You could be upset. You don't have to boo him, though. Don't go all the way to boo. Stop at moo. If you can moo John Elway, don't go over boo and go to moon. Moon is over boo. So if you go moon, that's worse than booing. But if you go moo, that's not as bad as booing. That's my take. Let's see here. John says, I love the team as symbol more than the people or players that are in it. I think for the most part, I think that makes you like most fans, John. John says, John Elway does that as a GM with coaches like Jack Del Rio, Gase, Fox. Yes, he has done it with Wade Phillips. He's done it with Kyle Shanahan. He's done it with Bulls, so obviously pretty good at his job. Wade Phillips, Hall of Fame defensive coordinator. And Kyle Shanahan was one of the most up-and-coming big names, young names. Looks like he's doing pretty well in San Francisco. Coaches out there, and instead they go with Vance Joseph because John Elway doesn't want to give up the control and power on the team. And he's not going to take orders from Kyle Shanahan. That's what that comes down to. Kyle Shanahan says, well, I want control. And John Elway says, well, you can't have it. And Kyle Shanahan says, well, I'm going to go coach for San Francisco then. And Vance Joseph says, I will do whatever you tell me to, sir. Mr. Elway, I will do exactly what you want. And, you want me to dance? You want me to dance? I'll dance. You want me to jump? I'll say how high. You want me to marry your daughter? I don't even know John Elway. Does he have a daughter? You want me to marry somebody? I'll marry him. You want me to, you want me to launder some money for you, John? I'll do that. You want me to be your caddy? Sure. Vance Joseph will do whatever John Elway asks of him at any point. Yeah, I think John's right. Kubiak, we didn't mention Kubiak. So the question is there anybody left? What can John Elway do that would get him back to contention, Super Bowl winning, that kind of lends itself to the John Elway trend? I think it's get Aaron Rodgers to come to Denver. That's basically it. So that's it, Aaron Rodgers. That's what. If you're an Elway fan, you need to start putting all of your chips in the crazy theory that or plan, hypothetical. Put it out there. Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos. That's what you want, because that's the only thing that's going to save Elway's bacon, or at least save the Broncos' bacon. How long are you going to let this go on? I do. I want to know. If you're a fan, how long are you going to let this go on? How long? What can John Elway do? What would have to happen for you to get on the wrong side of John Elway? What would have to happen for John Elway for you to want John Elway to be relieved of his responsibilities as the GM of the team? What would have to happen? Another bad quarterback pick? Fire Vance Joseph, hire another guy, then that guy gets fired? He's going to get another coach. At least another coach, right? At least one more. So we're talking 3-4 years from now, and he's still the GM, and you might be the worst team in the league by then because he can't draft. They have no draw for free agents at this point. And they have no ability to get high-level coaching talent because John Elway doesn't want it. Can John Elway still throw? Can we put him out there at quarterback? Let's have him do that, because I know John Elway is a good quarterback. Let's put him out there and be quarterback, because I think that's what he really wants anyways. He wants to be the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. John says VJ is basically giving Elway a BJ under his desk to keep his job, basically. Jenna says, so you are saying Vance Joseph is a puppet? If I puppet or Muppet, I think Muppet. I'm going to go Muppet. He's got a really nice, very uniform haircut. Kind of reminds me of a Muppet. So let's say that. Brent says, can you boo the president but love The Apprentice? Yeah, you can. Yeah, sure. The Apprentice was a pretty fun show, right? Because you had this guy nobody could ever really check or question, just going around firing everybody. That's basically what we're watching right now in Denver. Well, that's basically what we're watching. John Elway run his own reality TV show where he just fires people. That's what we're watching. That's our entertainment now. Broncos season is now The Apprentice season 7, and instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Donald Trump, it is now it's now John Elway, and he's just going around firing people. Whoever questions him for any particular reason. Jenna says, how about some Rockies talk? John Elway is boring. John says, laugh my ass off, Brent. Yeah, that's right. Brent always brings the one-liners. Patrick, yeah, done with the talk about the cokehead. Let's talk Rockies. Wow. Patrick, seriously, ESPN just put an article out about how this is the craziest division the division has been in 7 years. Broncos need this, a coach with a linebacker and defensive line experience as defense and offense for O-line and quarterback for younger guys. So a coach with linebacker and defensive line experience, a defense and or offensive guy for O-line and quarterback for younger guys. I think I know what you mean. He's saying that they need a coordinator defensively, not Joe Woods, who knows linebacker and defensive line instead of somebody who knows the secondary. Although I would say that at this point they really do need somebody who knows the secondary because, Chris Harris can't do it all by himself. He can't play all 4 positions out there, or 5 if you have a nickel. And as far as the offense goes, like offensive line, they need that for sure. They need a quarterback as well. They need tight end. I don't know whether or not Jeff Hireman's going to be any good. He looks pretty good so far in preseason, but I think he's negligible across the league. I don't think he stands out this season. Jenna says he is orange enough to be a Muppet. Is he orange enough? He is orange enough to be a Muppet. Patrick says, I wish I was joking. Are you talking about the crazy how crazy the division's been? All right, so we got a couple minutes here at the end. We'll talk some Rockies. How can you lose to the Padres? I mean, come on. It's the Padres. Eric Hosmer's their best player, and he sucks. Who else? Who's on that team that's good? No one. And you can't beat them at all. Look, you got a lot of division games left. A lot of games against the Padres and the Giants. And they have losing records, and you suck against both those teams. And you actually suck against teams with losing records. It's actually really weird that you can beat teams that have good records, but you can't beat teams that have bad records. And that really tells me that you're emotional. You're an emotional team. You're a team that plays to its level of competition. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is if you're trying to advance and win more games than the other teams. And right now, you know, their chances of making the postseason aren't great. I'll be honest. I don't think that they have the starting pitching to get it done. Kyle Freeland is decent. I would say John Gray has stuff. German Marquez, doughy though he may be, is a fairly decent pitcher, but not good enough, I think, to win a postseason game definitively, or for me to feel good about him on the mound in a postseason game. And then they've got Tyler Anderson, Mr. Anderson, who gave up a home run to Eric Hosmer, of all people. So I would say you've got some players and pitchers who have moments of good, but they're not reliable. They're a very unreliable, unpredictable team. And they've given up more home runs than any other team in baseball. And the fact that they've done that is a little worrisome. It's a little bit worrisome, mainly because that's all anybody does anymore is hit home runs. So if you're the team that's given up the most solo shots in the league, I'm a little concerned. Let's see. The Rockies rocks the Giants, especially this year. Jenna, Nolan prides himself on killing it against the Giants. Well, yeah, he can still perform. Nolan Arenado performed against the Padres and they lost. DJ LeMahieu, Nolan Arenado, and Charlie Blackmon all performed. And this is what I try to tell people about offense all the time in baseball. You can do well offensively and still lose. You can do well offensively and not score any runs. Because if you're, let's say, the top half of your order and the meat of their lineup hit, you had 2 hits from LeMahieu, 2 hits from Blackmon, and a hit and a walk from Arenado, and they still lost. Because everybody else behind them is unreliable, as is true about all baseball offenses. So you can still deliver and still lose. Pitchers, if they deliver, you don't lose. You don't lose when pitchers deliver. It's impossible, because if they deliver, then the other team doesn't score any runs. John says, yeah, to be honest, they have issues in the middle or inside linebacker since Trevathan left and defensive line since Jackson left. Honestly, young quarterbacks coming into Denver have always sucked. Greasy, Cutler, and we know QBs after the Manning area. Yeah, for sure. They have. It's Tebow's the only guy. Cutler was pretty good there. I don't know. They should not have traded Cutler, in my opinion. The young guys never perform. Not for the Broncos, anyways. A lot of teams are like that. Hey, if we just played 46 straight 500 and up teams, I'm okay with the loss to the Padres as long as we win the series. They may not win the series. Trevor is hitting a home run tonight. If you want free stuff, we're here to give you free stuff, like promo codes for free money to go to games. If you're a Rockies fan, you want to go to a Rockies game, you can get tickets pretty cheap. You can get tickets for free, basically, if you go to SeatGeek and use the promo code PHANTOM. That's FANTOM. Get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Same is true for BetDSI.com, only instead of getting money off, you get money on. That means every dollar you put in on your first deposit, they will match up to $2,500, which means $5,000 potentially for you to play around on BetDSI all season long. Also, too, if you're looking for a house in Denver, go to tjsagent.com. Brent Malia Properties with Coldwell Banker. They helped us. They can help you. Also, too, if you're looking for help with your mortgage, go to PlatteRiverMortgage.com. Sean Sedita and his staff there will help you out with your mortgage. They did so for us, and I have to say, in terms of great companies to work with, I could not think of two better people than Brent Malia and Sean Sedita. Guys who get it done. They got it done for us. They'll get it done for you as well. It's going to do it for us here on Noon O'Clock. I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget, check out the Flyover with Joshua Briscoe 2 hours prior to this and an hour before Showtime with Ari Timken live from Dallas. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I know you crazy weirdos are everywhere. So watch Ari's show before mine, and of course watch Josh's show before his. He is live in Kansas City. So Chiefs fan, I know we probably don't have a lot of those watching us, but you know, if you want to watch somebody who is delusionally confident in somebody who has never done anything, watch Josh talk about Patrick Mahomes, and you will enjoy that immensely. It's going to do it for me. Some real quick comments before we get out of here. Schedule looks in our favor. Patrick says that about the Rockies. John says, I have to go post up for my page. Yep. Jenna says, actually, I looked it up, and they have not given up the most home runs. Solo home runs. They have given up the most solo home runs. All right. Thanks, guys. It's going to do it for me. Later, y'all.